Cell phones have become a very central part of society today. In the past, cell phones were used almost exclusively to make phone calls. Then came texting, then the age of the smartphone, and now we use cell phones for almost every aspect of our lives. This includes navigation, surfing the web, playing games, and even running businesses. Um, Cell phones have become essential to our way of life, and they allow people to stay connected in every sense of the word. In these times where cell phones are so prevalent, the kind of cell phone you have is extremely important. The type of cell phones available now are split into two main categories. Those would be iPhones and Androids. Now, according to IDC.com, Androids currently make up about 86.6% of the market, and that means Apple makes up about the remaining 13.4%. Um, Today, I will convince you that that Android phones are better than iPhones because of the increased initial value, their functionality, and the flexibility that they offer. By the time I finish my speech, you will want to join the majority of Americans who find that an Android phone best suits their needs. Android products in general offer a wider range of choices at a wider range of prices. Android phones also give more bang for the buck as far as initial value goes. And what this means is that if an Android phone and an iPhone have the same, specifications and features, the chances are the Android phone is going to cost a little bit less. There are some exceptions to this statement, mainly, the flagship phones like the Galaxy phones and that kind of stuff. Those are normally around the same price, but that's only for the really top of the line phones. Android phone owners also have a lot more options when their phone actually breaks. So many iPhones, especially the newer ones, actually can only be repaired, at least initially, at the Apple Store. Android phones, on the other hand, can be fixed at any repair shop, and the parts are even available online a lot of the time. So this is great for people who like fixing things themselves to save some money. One thing to note is that while Android phones generally do call for less of an upfront investment, they do have a slightly worse value holding compared to the iPhone. And swappa.com states that iPhones generally go for actually about 90% of their initial value in resale, while the equivalent Samsung phone would go for about 60% of that value. So value is a huge deciding factor for many people, but for others, however, it plays less of a role in their decisions. One of the best things about Android phones is the increased functionality that they offer. The Android platform allows users a lot more opportunities for customization, and the iPhone only offers a limited number of widgets, while iPhone has access to thousands and thousands of them. And these widgets can show everything from the weather to your notes to music and really just all sorts of things. And Apple does have some of these widgets as well, but they're a lot more limited. Android also offers a much wider variety of apps in general than iPhone does. For example, iPhone users, when they surf the internet, they're mainly expected to use Safari, which is the Apple browser. For Android, on the other hand, users are free to download Google Chrome or really whatever browser they want to set as their default. Another example would be Apple Maps versus Google Maps. I can say from personal experience that Apple Maps has gotten me lost time and time again, and Google Maps is pretty good about bailing me out. So these are only two examples of the increased functionality offered by Android phones, but there are many, many more examples. So hands down, my favorite thing about Android phones is the increased flexibility that they offer. And before I go too much into that, however, I want to talk about what people call the Apple ecosystem. And this phrase refers to the exclusivity that Apple products exhibit. And anyone who buys an iPhone, you have to have the Apple charger, a special Apple earphones, and a special Apple adapter cord. And Apple does this so that once you buy one of their products, you're almost forced to buy more of them so they get even more of your money. And I realize I may sound a little bit bitter saying this, but I actually really do think that what Apple has done with their whole ecosystem is amazing, at least from a business standpoint. And Apple has also done an amazing job of making all of their products interact very seamlessly with each other. So, good for them. They just unfortunately don't really play nice with anybody else, only each other. Now, Android phones, on the other hand, give almost endless flexibility. Android phones have USB-C chargers, earphones with a 3.5mm jack. You can sync to almost any device, and some Android phones even come with removable batteries and expandable storage. This makes adding more space to your device or even replacing a battery that's just not really keeping a charge anymore just simple. The chances are, if you buy an Android phone, you also probably already have everything in your house that you need to charge it and run it and even listen to music on it. So you don't have to go to the store and spend any more money, and if you do, the chargers are probably available pretty cheaply at your nearest gas station. Now, in general, I'd say this proves that Android gives their users a lot more freedom than iPhones do. Today, we discussed the differences between iPhones and Androids. After talking about the increased flexibility, functionality, and value that Androids offer, I hope that you consider an Android as your next phone. Remember, 86.6% of Americans currently use an Android phone. That many people can't be wrong, can they? Thank you. I hate it.